What is your accidentally caught your spouse cheating horror story? Dating this girl a few years back and I became really good friends with her brother just because he appreciated my help during a difficult time for their family. Their father had abruptly passed away. 2 years into the relationship, the brother contacts me and asks to meet up for coffee and a serious conversation. Apparently he caught his own sister with another guy, mutual friend of ours, and this shit had been going on for like a year. As soon as he found out, I was told. Broke up with her. Still friends with her brother. Go figure. Edit: if I was gay I'd date him. Everyone happy? Haha. Thanks for all the love. Came back from a trip 4 hours early. Wife was supposed to be at work still. Opened the front door to see her sitting topless on the couch making out with a co-worker. He ran out the door, she ran into a bathroom and locked the door. Sat on that couch for about an hour because I couldn't think what else to do. Finally just up and left, so she could come out of the bathroom and put a shirt on. Had been on the road for work. Was supposed to be 10 days, got to go home a day early. Had a friend pick me up at the airport to surprise my wife and 2 children, 2 years and 8 months. Walked into my ex and her coffee friends snuggling on the couch. With my kids. In the same room. I was livid. Of course she denied everything. We split up weeks later. Edit: added years after 2 to avoid all the age questions. 2 weeks ago I sent a message to a mutual friend asking to borrow a router. He didn't answer, but no worries, he lives nearby. I'll just stop by and grab it. I pull up to his house and start heading down the driveway. He has a long country driveway, so it's a few seconds before I see my car. I drive a company vehicle during the day, already there. My heart began to sink, but they are friends, and business partners, maybe it's nothing. I got out of my van and look up to see the other guy shirtless in his bedroom. At this point my heart is down on my stomach and I am visibly shaking. I go in and immediately head upstairs. He is alone, now clothed. I say I came to borrow the router, also have you seen my wife? The car is here. He then proceeds to give the worst improv I've ever heard. Huh? No, she was here at some point though. Whatever, I knew she was there, I just wanted him to admit it. I go down, take the router, and head back to the van where I finally encounter my wife topless trying to sneak around the side of his house. And now here I am. Edit: to all those wondering, I kept the router. Edit 2, it's a plunge router for woodworking. Her phone got a text from her friend who was in the kitchen with her. So I assumed one of them sent it to me, opened her phone to see a penis. Her friend doesn't have a penis. Now I'm divorced and don't trust texts from friends. I caught my ex thanks to fucking Pokemon Go of all things. She mentioned Pokemon Go was using lots of her data. I explained that in her settings she could see how much data an app was using. I proceeded to show her and prove to her it wasn't by pointing out Tinder was using much more data. It was sad but also funny the way it went down. I've posted this before but it's still funny to remember. Found my wife's notebook. Written on the first page was a 10-step plan detailing how she was going to leave me for another guy. I turned it into 1 step. I got a new job with a cell phone company. Free phone for me, 15 a month for her. First bill comes in with call detail. She was on the phone an hour a day with this number while supposedly at work. I call, dude answers. I hang up. I ask her, she lies and said it was a gal pal of hers. I told her I know she is lying and call it again. Dude answers. Fuck you, Brooke. One night she told me not to come over because she wasn't feeling well. But then my sister wanted this hoodie back that she'd borrowed, so I thought I'd stop over with chocolate and a Slurpee. I knocked on her door. She came to the upstairs window with only a blanket wrapped around her. I thought I told you not to come over. My sister needs her hoodie. Who's that? Says some male voice from her bedroom. Ah. I see how it is. I'll talk to you tomorrow, she says. Probably not. Have a good one. After a week visiting friends in London, England, I flew back to Canada. I was supposed to do something with another group of friends when I got back, but plans fell through, so I drove the 4 hours home to the apartment we shared. She expected me home at 6 p.m. I'd been up for 30 straight hours and got home at 6 a.m., wanting nothing more than to fall into bed. There was an extra set of feet, attached to some asshole, when I walked in. Girlfriend ran over her phone by accident and destroyed the screen. Asked me to back up all her stuff and transfer it to her new Pixel. Use backup tool that captures all sorts of dirty messages and nudes with another guy. One of my former co-workers loaded in a SD card with a scanned project file on it. He put it into the conference room PC. We were treated to naked pics of his wife fucking another guy. We were just stunned. This was in a senior budgetary meeting with the outside accountants and auditors. And he was sitting right there, and we were looking at his wife and another guy going at it. I reached over and shut the projector off. Nobody said anything. He got up and walked out and drove off in his car. Left his phone and laptop sitting on the table. He wound up driving to his parents' house 3 states away. He was gone for a week. A friend of mine literally walked in on his wife and another guy doing it on their sofa. I guess he just yelled "what the fuck" and ran out. Facebook was a real shit show for a few days, and she even had the gall to blame him back, the old "it's your fault I cheated." Luckily there were no children in that marriage and not much money to fight over. Not me, my dad. Uneasy face, he told me the story a few years back. So, some of my mom's family were visiting from out of town and they had planned a night at the bingo, which my dad couldn't attend because he was working 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. He finished work early and on his way home, saw my babysitter on the street. "You are not with you/Baseman 1976? No, your wife called me at around 8 p.m., saying she wasn't feeling well and that she would stay home." My dad drove home, tried the front door. Locked, no lights. He entered the house by the basement door. Went up the stairs. Heard them, a few feet away. My mom. And her cousin. 2 years later, he almost left her, with me in tow, but stayed so I could have a normal life. Most of the time, I wish he'd left, because he wouldn't have worked 90 to 100 a week to avoid being home, and could have been happier. For those who are wondering, my mom had a long-time affair with her cousin, starting before she met my dad. She wasn't happy either, I think, but my dad was a good catch. Yes, I'm sure he is my dad, we look so much the same. Yes, they are still together, and after a year of being angry, I decided to let go, because their relationship has nothing to do with me. Just sad for both of them. Walked in on my girlfriend while she was having sex with another guy. "What are you doing here?" she says. "You gave me a key, remember? I ended up not working today and wanted to surprise you." 15 years later she reaches out, leaves me a message that she'd like to talk. I figure she's doing some 12-step thing or something and wants to make amends. Nope. She wanted to try and sell me on Amway. I returned from work on Christmas Eve. We had tickets to a festival which started the day before, and I couldn't find the tickets anywhere after seeing them the month before. I decided to double check the trash before we put it out for collection. I found a used condom. We lived on our own. Okay, so my ex was having computer problems and wanted to go on Facebook on my phone. No problem, but I made her use Safari so I wouldn't have to log out of the app. Anyways, couple days later I'm closing tabs on my phone and there is her Facebook still open. Well, I see she's chatting with her ex John. Turns out they banged in our bed and were gonna go out on a date soon. So in the messages he asked she wear something nice in the messages. I'm not the jealous type, so I leave it for a couple days. Couple days go by and she wants to have sex. Well, we are kissing and getting hot and heavy. I whisper in her ear, don't forget John wants you to wear something nice on your date Saturday. The look of horror in her eyes was magical. I put my shirt on and start walking out as she's crying and saying she's sorry. Long story short, I suspected something for a few months. Like an idiot, I opened her phone while she was asleep and found exactly what I was looking for, like you always do when searching through someone else's phone. Even with all of the texts right there to see, she still lied about it multiple times. She eventually admitted to it but downplayed it heavily. She told me about 2 nights ago that he asked her out on a date and she said I had to say no and was visibly sad about it. In the process of getting a divorce now. Hurts like hell.